chosen course of action, despite attempts to persuade one to do so. Yeah, that's the main one. Comes from Latin.
Yeah, well, to make it simple, it means stubborn, and it's just got a little different connotation. I mean, it's still the same thing, still stubborn, but it's just a certain kind of stubborn.
That streak runs deeper.
Yeah, evidently you come by it natural. The question reflects a concern for the people whose obstinacy would separate them from God. A good while in our study, we'll come across Isaiah chapter 59. And that calls our attention to what we're talking about tonight. In Isaiah 59, verses 1 and 2, Isaiah says, "Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your God, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear." You see, sin is serious business. And he said that their stubbornness would separate them from God. Well, Isaiah tells why. The people refused to obey, and so their sins got in the way. Their sins kept God from them. Their sins, as it were, became kind of a wall, is in the picture. It's the wall that stands between us and God. And it takes obedience to break it down. Okay, Ezra, I guess you're next, huh? Verse 13.
However, a ray of hope was also given with this sad answer, because the exile would not be the end of the Lord's purpose for the nation. A tenth would survive the exile, and even when this remnant is cut down like a tree, at least the stump will remain standing, from which will spring new growth. The life remaining is the holy seed, from which the Messiah would come. Therefore, there will be a future, and those who survive the exile are the basic and hope of that future.
Okay. wasn't my phone,
No, it's not.
but it doesn't matter whose it was. I just making sure mine didn't do it. So, verse 13 talks about the branch, the remnant, and the stump that the branch is attached to. Question or comment?
You could probably link that back to with the vineyard, how he wasn't going to dig it up, just clear cut it. Kind of the same idea with the stump. He left a portion to come back. Couldn't dig it up.
Well, there was always the remnant. We've talked about it extensively. And we've most likely all have seen the stump with new branches sprouting out and growing from it. And so Isaiah is using that as a picture. And says that the life remaining is the holy seed from which the Messiah would come. And as we have talked about, the remnant, it doesn't take a very big branch to sprout into a big tree, even from a stump. We find a lot of times that simply to cut a tree off at the stump is not enough to kill it.
We have one specific species that excels in that department.
Cedar.
Yeah.
I didn't know which one you were going to reference.
I was thinking mulberry, because I seem to battle those more often. Cedar just different.
Okay.
There's many in my life of work you have to go back yearly and cut down, chop up.
Okay. An application for today, number 1.
Something back to me.
It does.
Isaiah 5:25. The love of God, the God of love is also a God of wrath, who will righteously punish all who cast away his law and despise his word. Some think love means we should never condemn sin or error, but that everyone should be able to do as he pleases. This self-deceiving spirit, however, ignores the reality of God's wrath. Cross-reference Romans 1:18, Ephesians 5:6, and Colossians 3:5-6.
Let's take a little bit of time and look at those because it's a very important concept for us to be acquainted with. So, Romans 1:18 says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness." So, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men.
When we read Ephesians 5:6.
That'd be good.
Ephesians 5:6. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience.
Okay. And then Colossians 3. Verses 5 and 6. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry, for which things' sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. Mortify means to do what?
Kill it.
Okay.
Put to death, I think.
There you go. That's a little more gentle.
Yeah.
A little more genteel.
It's going to need a mortician.
Yeah. Okay. And the members or the offenders, he's talking about fleshly desires and the inordinate satisfaction thereof. So, all around us, we hear things like God is a God of love, and they seem to equate the touchy-feely kind of feel-good things as love, and that a God of love would not punish sinners. Some think love means we should never condemn sin or error. You know, that's kind of about as far from the truth as you can get. Because sometimes it's the most loving thing that we can do is to point out a deficiency in somebody's life. And of course, care must be taken in doing so. And Jesus taught the parable of the mote and the beam. And what's a mote?
The first thing I think of is a castle's moat, but it's a speck.
Okay, a speck. The castle's moat isn't a speck.
No, different spelling, I believe.
I believe you're right. Jesus taught the parable of the speck and the beam, you know, and it's one of those examples that there is a little bit of humor in the teachings of Jesus. And, you know, the picture presented then, here's this guy that's got the big log sticking in his eye trying to get that little speck of dirt out. And sometimes it's important to warn the offender of the consequences of their action. by way of review, there's three different kinds of love in the New Testament. There's the agape love, which is what we're talking about here. And the agape love is that we can define it as the caring concern for the well-being of another. It's that kind of love that we are to have toward all men, but especially towards those who are walking in sin. Then there's brotherly love, which is from the Greek word phileo, and it's the word that we get the name of the city of brotherly love, which is Philadelphia. And that means brotherly love. It's kind of a transliteration of the Greek. And then there is eros or eros, which is the kind of love of a couple, a man and a wife, towards one another. So, any question or comments? Number 2.
Isaiah 60. Like Isaiah, all true servants of God feel unworthy to perform service for the high and holy Lord. However, with forgiveness comes the responsibility to do all that we can. An attitude of readiness is the key to a successful ministry in the kingdom of the Lord. Reference Romans 1:14-15, 1 Corinthians 9:16, Ephesians 3:20.
Okay. When Isaiah received the call, his response was, "Woe is me, I'm a man of unclean lips," which interpreted means, I'm not worthy to do the work of the Lord. And God, in his characteristic style, likes to remove excuses. And so he sent, was it the seraphim?
Yeah.
Yeah. He sent the seraphim with a live coal, in other words, a burning coal, and applies it to the lips of Isaiah, and takes away his iniquity and made him suitable for the task that God had outlined for him. So Isaiah couldn't use any excuse. And after the cleaning of his lips, God asked, "Who shall I send?" And Isaiah got the message. He said, "Here am I, send me."
He had a tough message.
And so that's what God was doing to the people as the vine dresser would to the vineyard. Number 2.
The first of 6 woes in the 5th chapter is against what? The greedy of land and houses. 5, 8 through 10.
Okay. Insatiable greed for real estate. Number 3.
Those who follow strong drink regard not nor consider what? It's your handwriting.
It's cold, so you can't read it.
And justice and righteousness. And let's make sure we forgot the verses.
Okay.
Work of the Lord and operation of his hands. 5.
Okay. I said that they they didn't regard or consider the warnings of the Lord. And chapter 5, verses 11 and 12.
They weren't paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 4.
Those who drew iniquity with cords of vanity, openly having sin upon sin, actually say what words? In mine ears, they that say, let him make speed and hasten his work, that we may see it, and let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it. Verse 5, chapter 5, verse 9.
I included verse 18. 18 and 19. Okay. Number 5.
The 4th woe is against those who say, what about good and evil? Vice versa. They call evil good and good evil. 5.
Okay.
Blur the lines.
Blur the lines. Is it? Okay. Yeah, there's still people that love to do that. And no. Satan is a master at the blur. Just a little bit will be okay.
What's one step?
What?
I said, what's one step in that direction?
Yeah. Yeah. Number next.
The fifth woe is against whom? And against conceit. Conceit. 5:21.
Okay, and the King James 21 says, "Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight." They were judging themselves by what?
Their own standards.
By themselves. Yeah, their own standards. And the fifth woe was against those who reject the counsel of God.
They were having a case of judgment.
Yeah.
Every man did what was right in his own eyes.
Okay. Next.
The sixth woe is against men who justify the wicked for what? A reward. Verse 22.
Okay. Number 8.
What is the real cause that makes their root as rottenness? Because they rejected God's law. 24.
Okay.
Because they have rejected the law of the Lord their faith, and despised the word of the Holy One.
Okay. Number 9.
What vision did Isaiah see in the year Uzziah died? The Lord seated on a throne in the heavenly temple. 5:1-2.
In chapter 6.
You guys, or we're supposed to.
Just a case of dyslexia. And number 10.
What was Isaiah's response when the Lord asked, "Whom shall I send? Here am I, send me." 6 verse 8.
Okay, question or comment?
I initially forgot. Didn't read the scripture references, so I've been going back through and filling that out.
Forgot to write them down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Oops. Forgot to read the fine print
Yeah.
in bold font.
That'll learn you.
But I did it in the true and false. I had all the references.
Okay, let's do the true false. Number 1.
Israel is said to be gone into captivity because they had no knowledge. True. 5 verse 13.
Number 2.
The wild grapes that came up in the vineyard pleased the Lord. False. Are we putting verses with it?
Yes.
Six. One.
Hmm.
Shoot.
LOL. We got through the font.
Oh.
Old font. Yeah, classic.
It is a good study. The answer to number 2 is false. Chapter 5, verses 4 through 6.
He wasn't pleased with that result.
Your dad?
No,
No, the Lord wasn't. Okay.
didn't like the wild grapes.
Yeah. Number 3.
Israel, like the vineyard, will be laid waste. True. 5 through 6 and 9. Verse 9.
Okay.
He just wanted to make sure he had everything covered.
I think you got it covered.
Extra Bible never killed anybody.
Well, you'd have to be a little bit careful because sometimes you can miss the context change and come up with the wrong answer.
Yep.
Number next.
Isaiah saw seraphims with 6 wings above the throne of the Lord. True. Chapter 6, verse 2. 1 and 2, if you want to get the throne.
Okay. And number 5.
Isaiah felt unworthy to go speak the Lord's message. True. 2.
Chapter 6.
15.
What verse?
3 through 4.
Okay. 5 is what I had. Isaiah says, Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For mine eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Isaiah felt very unworthy. He says, Woe is me, I'm a man of unclean lips. And we'll pick up with the research questions next time.